Hello there, and welcome to Sleep Knowledge, a place where curious minds gather, relax, and learn. Tonight, we're descending into one of Earth's most captivating realms, a world of eternal darkness, crushing pressure, and mysteries that have puzzled scientists for generations. The deep sea, a place where strange lights flicker in the blackness, where creatures exist that seem pulled from dreams, and where every expedition reveals something entirely unexpected. Down here, the rules are different. Time moves slowly, pressure builds, and in the absence of sunlight, life has found ways to survive that challenge everything we thought we knew. Tonight, we'll explore these mysteries together, one gentle revelation at a time, and if you find these journeys soothing, consider liking and subscribing to Sleep Knowledge. It helps us reach more travelers like you. But for now, let your thoughts drift downward with us, into the cold, the dark, and the utterly astonishing. This is a place where mystery isn't solved, it's lived. Let's begin. The ocean's midnight zone holds more questions than answers. Beyond about 1,000 meters deep lies a region scientists call the midnight zone, or the bathypelagic. Here, darkness is absolute. No trace of sunlight penetrates. No warmth from above reaches down. It's a cold, black expanse that stretches across vast distances, wrapping around trenches, plains, and underwater mountains. For centuries, this zone was considered lifeless, too hostile for anything to survive. But we were wrong. The midnight zone teems with life, much of it bioluminescent, glowing softly in the dark. Strange fish drift through the water. Translucent squid pulse with light. Jellies trail glowing tentacles like living constellations. Scientists estimate that more biomass exists in the midnight zone than in all the world's tropical rainforests combined. Yet we've explored less than 5% of it. Every dive reveals new species, new behaviors, new mysteries. The midnight zone doesn't answer questions, it asks them, and in its silence, it waits for us to keep searching. Strange lights flicker where no sun has ever shone. In the deep sea, bioluminescence is everywhere. It's not rare or unusual, it's the norm. Fish flash patterns to communicate. Squid release glowing clouds to confuse predators. Tiny plankton sparkle when disturbed, creating waves of blue-green light that ripple through the darkness. Some creatures use light to hunt, dangling glowing lures in front of their jaws. Others use it to hide, producing light on their undersides to erase their shadows and blend into the faint glow from above. Still others flash in rhythms and sequences, like Morse code in the abyss. These lights are chemical reactions, carefully controlled and astonishingly efficient. They don't produce heat. They don't waste energy. They simply glow, soft and deliberate. In a world without sunlight, bioluminescence becomes the primary form of visibility. It's how creatures see, signal, and survive. The deep ocean isn't dark because nothing lives there. It's dark because the light comes from within. Some jellyfish grow longer than blue whales. When we think of large ocean creatures, we picture whales, sharks, or giant squid. But one of the longest animals in the sea is something far more delicate: the lion's mane jellyfish. These massive jellies can grow tentacles that stretch over 30 meters long, longer than a blue whale. They drift through cold northern waters, trailing their stinging arms like living curtains. Despite their size, they're almost weightless, composed mostly of water, with a thin layer of tissue holding them together. They move slowly, pulsing gently with the currents, feeding on small fish and plankton that brush against their tentacles. When illuminated by a submarine's lights, they glow faintly, their bodies translucent and ghostly, but in darkness they're nearly invisible, silent giants drifting through the cold. The deep sea doesn't only hide small mysteries, sometimes it hides enormous ones. The giant squid remained a legend until recently. For hundreds of years, sailors told stories of massive squid rising from the deep, large enough to capsize ships or battle whales. Scientists dismissed these tales as myth, exaggeration, the product of fear and superstition, but the legends persisted. Occasionally, a carcass would wash ashore, or a piece of tentacle would be found in a whale's stomach. Still, no one had ever seen a living giant squid in its natural habitat. Then, in 2012, Japanese researchers captured the first footage. Over 600 meters down, they filmed a giant squid in motion, sleek, powerful, and utterly real. Its body shimmered with bioluminescence. Its eyes, the size of dinner plates, reflected the camera's light. It wasn't a monster, it was a mystery made visible. Since then, only a handful of sightings have occurred. The giant squid remains elusive, shy, and profoundly mysterious. We know it exists, we know it's massive, but how it lives, how it hunts, how it mates, all of that remains hidden in the dark. Their eyes are the largest in the animal kingdom. To survive in the deep, where light is scarce and fleeting, the giant squid has evolved eyes that are almost unimaginably large. Each eye can reach up to 30 centimeters in diameter, about the size of a basketball. These massive organs are designed to detect the faintest glimmers of bioluminescence, the distant flash of prey, or the approach of a predator like a sperm whale. With such large eyes, even the tiniest spark of light can be magnified and analyzed. The squid can see shapes, movement, and threats from hundreds of meters away. It's an adaptation born of necessity. In a world where vision is nearly useless, having the biggest eyes possible becomes a powerful advantage. And the giant squid isn't alone. Its cousin, the colossal squid, may have eyes just as large, if not larger. These creatures don't just see in the dark, they see better than almost anything else can. In the abyss, sight is rare, but when it exists, it's extraordinary. We've heard unexplained sounds from the deepest parts of the ocean. The ocean is full of noise, clicks, whistles, groans, and rumbles, but some sounds don't match anything we know. In 1997, underwater microphones detected a sound so loud it was picked up thousands of kilometers apart. Scientists called it the Bloop. It was powerful, low frequency, and strange. Some speculated it came from an unknown sea creature, something massive and hidden. Others thought it might be geological, the cracking of ice or shifting of tectonic plates. Eventually, the leading theory pointed to icebergs calving off Antarctica. But for years, the Bloop captured imaginations. It reminded us that the ocean still holds secrets we can hear but not explain. There are other mysterious sounds too. The upsweep, the whistle, Julia, all recorded, all cataloged, and all unexplained. Some repeat seasonally, others happened once and never again. We listen to the deep with sensitive instruments, capturing echoes and vibrations from places no human has ever been. And sometimes, the ocean speaks back in a language we don't yet understand. Deep sea creatures can survive pressures that would crush steel. At the surface, we experience one atmosphere of pressure, the weight of all the air above us. But in the deep sea, pressure increases dramatically. Every 10 meters down adds another full atmosphere. By the time you reach 1,000 meters, the pressure is 100 times greater than at the surface. At the deepest point in the ocean, the Mariana Trench, the pressure exceeds 1,000 atmospheres. That's enough force to crush a submarine, collapse a steel barrel, or flatten almost anything rigid. And yet, life thrives there. Deep-sea creatures have evolved bodies that withstand these extremes. Many are soft-bodied, lacking rigid skeletons or air-filled spaces that would collapse under pressure. Their cells are filled with special proteins and molecules that stabilize under compression. Some fish have gelatinous flesh, flexible bones, and slow metabolisms. They don't fight the pressure. They adapt to it. For them, the crushing weight of the ocean isn't a threat. It's home. And if brought to the surface too quickly, they would expand, deform, or even burst. Pressure defines their existence. It shapes their bodies, their behavior, and their evolution. In the deep, weight is constant, and life has learned to live with it. Barreleye fish have transparent heads filled with glowing green eyes. One of the strangest fish in the deep sea is the barreleye, a small, delicate creature with a head like a glass dome. Its skull is completely transparent, allowing you to see directly into its head. Inside are two large, tubular eyes that point upward, scanning the water above for the silhouettes of prey. These eyes are filled with a green pigment that helps filter light and improve contrast in the dim twilight zone. The fish can rotate its eyes forward when it needs to look ahead, usually while eating. But most of the time, it drifts motionless, staring up into the faint glow above. Its transparent head protects its sensitive eyes from the stinging tentacles of jellyfish, which it often steals food from. The barreleye is both bizarre and perfectly adapted. It doesn't need armor or speed. It needs vision, patience, and a body built to see what others cannot. In the deep, evolution doesn't follow familiar patterns. It invents entirely new solutions. Some fish can walk along the ocean floor on fins. Not all deep-sea creatures swim. Some have evolved to walk. Certain species of anglerfish, sea robins, and batfish use their pectoral and pelvic fins like legs, shuffling slowly across the seafloor in search of food. These fins are flexible, muscular, and capable of gripping uneven terrain. Walking conserves energy compared to constant swimming, especially in areas where food is scarce and movement must be deliberate. Some of these fish are ambush predators, waiting motionless on the bottom until prey drifts close. Others are scavengers, crawling through sediment and debris. Their movements are slow, almost mechanical, like deep-sea robots exploring an alien landscape. And in some ways, they are explorers. The deep-sea floor is vast and mostly empty, a desert of mud and silt. Walking allows these fish to cover ground methodically, to investigate every crevice and shadow. In the stillness of the abyss, even the simplest motion, like walking, becomes a strategy for survival. The vampire squid isn't a squid or a vampire. Despite its name, the vampire squid is neither a true squid nor a blood drinker. It's a unique cephalopod, the only surviving member of its ancient lineage. It lives in the oxygen-depleted depths of the mesopelagic zone, where few predators can follow. Its body is soft, velvety, and dark red or black. Between its 8 arms stretches a webbed cloak, giving it the appearance of a caped figure drifting through the dark. When threatened, it doesn't flee. Instead, it inverts its cloak, pulling it over its body and exposing rows of fleshy spines. At the same time, it releases bioluminescent mucus, glowing particles that confuse and distract attackers. The vampire squid doesn't hunt live prey. It feeds on marine snow, tiny particles of organic debris drifting down from the surface. Using 2 long filaments, it collects these particles and transfers them to its mouth. It's a gentle creature, slow-moving and energy efficient. In a world where food is scarce and oxygen is limited, the vampire squid has mastered the art of doing very little, very well. It doesn't need to be fast or aggressive, it just needs to endure. And in the deep, endurance is everything. Goblin sharks look like creatures from prehistory. The goblin shark is one of the ocean's most unsettling residents. It has a long, flat snout that extends like a blade from its head. Its jaws can shoot forward from its mouth, snapping out to grab prey in a fraction of a second. Its teeth are thin, sharp, and misaligned, giving it a ragged, nightmarish appearance. And its skin is pale, almost translucent, with a pinkish hue from the blood vessels beneath. Goblin sharks are rarely seen. They live at depths between 200 and 1,000 meters, lurking near the seafloor in search of fish, squid, and crustaceans. Most specimens are caught by accident in deep-sea fishing nets. Their anatomy hasn't changed much in millions of years, earning them the nickname living fossil. Like the coelacanth and the frilled shark, the goblin shark is a relic, a creature that has survived mass extinctions, continental shifts, and the rise and fall of entire ecosystems. It drifts through the deep, unchanged and unbothered, a reminder that some forms of life are so well suited to their environment that evolution leaves them alone. The Dumbo octopus flaps its ear-like fins to glide through the abyss in the deepest parts of the ocean. Where the pressure is immense and food is rare, lives one of the most charming creatures of the deep. The Dumbo octopus, named for its two large, ear-like fins that resemble the Disney elephant. This small octopus flaps these fins gently to propel itself through the water. It hovers above the seafloor, drifting with an almost dreamlike grace. Dumbo octopuses are soft, round, and come in shades of pink, orange, or white. They feed on small worms, crustaceans, and other invertebrates, swallowing them whole. Unlike many octopuses, they don't use jet propulsion or camouflage. They don't need to. Down here, there are fewer predators and less competition. The Dumbo octopus has been found at depths exceeding 7,000 meters, deeper than almost any other octopus species. It doesn't build dens or hide in crevices. It simply drifts, quietly flapping its fins, moving through a world of silence and pressure. It's one of the few creatures in the deep that seems almost peaceful, unbothered by the harshness around it. Hagfish produce slime that can clog a predator's gills. The hagfish is one of the ocean's strangest and most ancient creatures. It looks like an eel, but it's not. It's a jawless fish, more closely related to lampreys than to modern fish. Hagfish live on the ocean floor, often burrowing into mud or feeding on dead and decaying animals. But what makes them truly remarkable is their defense mechanism. When threatened, a hagfish releases a thick, sticky slime from glands along its body. This slime expands rapidly when it contacts water, creating a dense, suffocating mass that can clog the gills of predators. A single hagfish can produce enough slime to turn a bucket of water into gel in seconds. The slime is made of protein fibers that interlock, forming a structure stronger than spider silk. It's so effective that most predators quickly learn to avoid hagfish entirely. After releasing the slime, the hagfish ties itself into a knot and slides the knot down its body, scraping off the excess. It's a strange, almost comical sight, but it works. In the deep, survival doesn't require speed or strength. Sometimes, it just requires being too disgusting to eat. Sperm whales dive deeper than any other mammal. Sperm whales are among the most impressive divers in the animal kingdom. They can plunge to depths of over 2,000 meters, holding their breath for up to 90 minutes. At these depths, they hunt giant squid, one of the few predators capable of taking on such formidable prey. To survive these dives, sperm whales have evolved remarkable adaptations. Their lungs collapse under pressure, forcing air into reinforced airways. Their muscles are packed with myoglobin, a protein that stores oxygen far more efficiently than hemoglobin. And their bodies can tolerate extreme changes in pressure without injury. When a sperm whale dives, it descends in near silence, using echolocation to navigate and hunt in total darkness. The clicks it produces are among the loudest sounds made by any animal, powerful enough to stun prey. These dives are not occasional, they're routine. Sperm whales spend much of their lives in the deep, rising only to breathe and rest. They are creatures of two worlds, the surface and the abyss. And in the deep, they are apex predators, masters of a realm few other mammals can even reach. Certain worms thrive in scalding vent water, around hydrothermal vents, where water can exceed 400 degrees Celsius. Life still finds a way. Giant tube worms, some over 2 meters long, cluster in dense colonies near the vents. They have no mouths, no stomachs, no digestive systems. Instead, they rely entirely on symbiotic bacteria living inside their bodies. These bacteria feed on hydrogen sulfide and other chemicals pouring from the vents, converting toxic compounds into energy through chemosynthesis. The worms absorb nutrients directly from the bacteria, living in a partnership that has existed for millions of years. Their red plumes wave gently in the current, extracting oxygen and chemicals from the water. Despite the extreme heat, toxicity, and pressure, these worms thrive. They grow quickly, reproduce in large numbers, and can live for decades. They represent one of the most alien ecosystems on Earth, one that doesn't depend on sunlight or surface nutrients. These worms don't just survive the vents, they need them. Without the heat, the chemicals, and the bacteria, they couldn't exist. In the deep, life doesn't avoid extremes, it embraces them. Black smokers are underwater volcanoes that spew dark clouds. Hydrothermal vents come in many forms, but some of the most dramatic are called black smokers. These are towering chimneys, sometimes several stories tall, built from minerals that precipitate out of superheated water. As the water shoots upward from cracks in the seafloor, it carries dissolved metals and sulfides. When it hits the cold ocean water, these minerals solidify instantly, forming plumes of black smoke. The chimneys grow slowly, layer by layer, like underwater stalagmites. Around them, ecosystems flourish. Tube worms, crabs, shrimp, and fish gather in dense clusters, feeding on the chemical-rich water. Some species are found nowhere else on Earth. Black smokers were first discovered in the late 1972, and they revolutionized our understanding of life. Before then, scientists believed all life depended on sunlight, but these vents proved otherwise. Life can run on chemistry, on heat from the Earth's core, on reactions that happen in total darkness. Black smokers are not just geological features, they're biological hotspots, oases in the desert of the deep sea. The Mariana Trench is the deepest scar on Earth. In the western Pacific lies the Mariana Trench, a crescent-shaped gash in the ocean floor that plunges nearly 11,000 meters below the surface. It's the deepest known point on Earth, deeper than Mount Everest is tall. If you placed Everest inside the trench, its peak would still be over 2 kilometers underwater. The trench was formed by the collision of tectonic plates. The Pacific plate is being forced beneath the smaller Mariana plate in a process called subduction. As the plate descends, it creates a deep, narrow trench, a wound in the Earth's crust that has existed for millions of years. The pressure at the bottom is crushing. The temperature is just above freezing, and yet life exists there. Microbes, amphipods, and even fish have been found at the deepest points. The Mariana Trench is a place of extremes, a reminder of how dynamic and violent the Earth can be, and how resilient life is, even in the most inhospitable places. Only a handful of people have visited the deepest point. The Challenger Deep, the lowest part of the Mariana Trench, has been visited by fewer than 20 people. The first descent was in 1960 by Jacques Picard and Don Walsh aboard the bathyscaphe Trieste. They spent just 20 minutes on the seafloor before ascending. For over 50 years, no one returned. Then, in 2012, filmmaker James Cameron made a solo dive in a custom-built submersible. Since then, a few more missions have followed, but the list remains short. Reaching the bottom requires specialized equipment, enormous funding, and immense courage. The journey down takes hours. The descent is slow and silent, and the view, when you arrive, is limited. Sediment clouds the water. Lights reveal only a small circle of seafloor. But what's been seen is profound. Strange fish, amphipods the size of your hand, and sediments that may hold clues to Earth's history. Visiting the Challenger Deep is not just a dive, it's a pilgrimage to one of the planet's most remote places. Amphipods the size of dinner plates live in the deepest trenches. In the Mariana Trench and other deep trenches, researchers have discovered amphipods, small crustaceans related to shrimp, that grow to extraordinary sizes. Some are over 30 centimeters long, far larger than their shallow water cousins. This phenomenon, called deep-sea gigantism, occurs in several species. Larger bodies may help these creatures withstand pressure, store energy, or survive long periods without food. These giant amphipods are scavengers, feeding on whatever drifts down from above: dead fish, whale carcasses, or organic debris. They've been filmed swarming over bait left by researchers, moving with surprising speed despite the crushing pressure. Their size and abundance suggest that even the deepest parts of the ocean support active, thriving ecosystems. They may look alien with their segmented bodies and long, jointed legs, but they're simply another example of life adapting to extremes. In the deep, size isn't just a trait, it's a strategy. Some deep-sea fish have teeth so large they can't close their mouths. In the deep, food is scarce. When prey appears, it must be caught and held, no matter the size. Some fish, like the viperfish and fangtooth, have evolved teeth so long and sharp that they protrude even when the mouth is closed. The fangtooth, despite being only about 15 centimeters long, has teeth proportionally larger than any other fish. Its lower fangs are so long that special sockets in its skull allow them to slide past the brain when the mouth closes. The viperfish has similar adaptations, with needle-like teeth that interlock to trap prey. These fish hunt in the midnight zone, using bioluminescent lures or keen senses to detect movement. When they strike, their jaws open wide and their teeth act like a cage, preventing escape. It's a brutal, efficient design. In the deep, there are no second chances. If you find food, you hold it. And these fish, with their terrifying teeth, are built to do exactly that. Gulper eels can swallow prey larger than themselves. The gulper eel is one of the most bizarre fish in the deep sea. It has a massive, hinged mouth that can open to an enormous size, far larger than its own body. Its stomach is equally stretchy, allowing it to swallow prey much bigger than itself. This adaptation is essential in the deep, where meals are rare and unpredictable. When a gulper eel encounters something edible, it doesn't hesitate. It simply opens wide and engulfs, The eel's body is long and whip-like, tapering to a thin tail tipped with a bioluminescent organ. It's thought that this glowing tip attracts prey, drawing them closer before the eel strikes. Despite its fearsome appearance, the gulper eel is not a fast swimmer. It drifts slowly through the water, waiting, watching, and occasionally lunging when opportunity arrives. In the deep, patience is more valuable than speed, and the gulper eel has mastered the art of waiting. Certain jellyfish are functionally immortal. Among the many strange creatures of the deep, one stands out not for its appearance, but for its biology. The immortal jellyfish, Turritopsis dohrnii. This tiny jellyfish, only a few millimeters wide, has the ability to reverse its aging process. When injured, starved, or stressed, it can revert from its adult medusa form back to its juvenile polyp stage. From there, it grows again, essentially restarting its life cycle. In theory, this process can continue indefinitely, making the jellyfish biologically immortal. It doesn't die of old age. Of course, it can still be eaten, killed by disease, or destroyed by environmental changes, but under the right conditions, it could live forever. This discovery has fascinated scientists studying aging, regeneration, and cellular biology. The immortal jellyfish doesn't live in the deepest parts of the ocean, but its existence reminds us that the ocean is full of biological mysteries. Life here doesn't always follow the rules we expect, and sometimes it rewrites them entirely. The ocean's twilight zone may hold 1 trillion tons of fish. The mesopelagic zone, also called the twilight zone, lies between 200 and 1,000 meters deep. It's a dim, shadowy region where sunlight fades but doesn't disappear entirely, and it may be one of the richest ecosystems on Earth. Scientists estimate that this zone contains over 1 trillion tons of fish, more biomass than all the fish in the rest of the ocean combined. Most of these fish are small, like lanternfish, bristlemouths, and hatchetfish. They feed on plankton and organic particles, and they migrate vertically every night, rising toward the surface to feed and descending at dawn to avoid predators. This migration, called diel vertical migration, is the largest movement of animals on the planet. It happens every day, in every ocean, and it plays a crucial role in regulating carbon and nutrient cycles. Yet we've barely begun to study it. The twilight zone is difficult to access, and its inhabitants are fragile and hard to catch. But as technology improves, we're learning more, and what we're finding is astonishing. The twilight zone isn't empty, it's full. Lanternfish make up a huge portion of the ocean's biomass. Among the most abundant fish in the sea are lanternfish, small, silvery creatures that live in the twilight and midnight zones. They get their name from the rows of bioluminescent organs called photophores that line their bodies. These lights help them communicate, camouflage, and navigate in the dim waters. Lanternfish are tiny, usually only a few centimeters long, but they exist in staggering numbers. Some estimates suggest they make up over half of all fish biomass in the ocean. Every night, they rise from the depths to feed on plankton near the surface. Every morning, they descend again, carrying nutrients and carbon back into the deep. This daily journey makes them a vital link in the ocean's food web. They're eaten by larger fish, squid, seabirds, and marine mammals, and in turn, they help regulate the flow of energy through the ocean. Lanternfish may be small and unfamiliar, but they're among the most important fish on the planet. Bioluminescent bacteria live inside many deep-sea creatures. Many deep-sea animals don't produce their own light. Instead, they host colonies of bioluminescent bacteria. These microbes live in specialized organs inside the fish, squid, or shrimp, producing light through chemical reactions. In return, the host provides the bacteria with nutrients and a safe environment. It's a mutualistic relationship, one that benefits both parties. The anglerfish's glowing lure, for example, is filled with bioluminescent bacteria. The flashlight fish has pouches beneath its eyes packed with glowing microbes, and certain squid can control the intensity of their bacterial light, dimming or brightening it as needed. These bacteria are incredibly efficient, producing light without heat or waste, and they're remarkably diverse, with different species producing different colors and intensities. In the deep, where energy is precious, outsourcing light production to bacteria is an elegant solution. It's another example of cooperation in the most unlikely places. Some creatures create light by mixing chemicals inside their bodies. Not all bioluminescence comes from bacteria. Some animals produce light themselves using a chemical reaction. This process involves a light-emitting molecule called luciferin and an enzyme called luciferase. When luciferin is oxidized in the presence of luciferase, it releases energy in the form of light. Different species use different types of luciferin, and the light they produce can vary in color, brightness, and duration. Fireflies use a similar system on land, but in the ocean, bioluminescence is far more common and diverse. Some jellyfish glow blue, some squid flash green, and some fish produce red light, which most deep-sea creatures can't see, giving them a hidden advantage. This self-produced light is used for hunting, communication, camouflage, and defense. It's energy efficient, highly controlled, and essential for survival. In the deep, light is power, and the creatures that can create it hold a distinct edge. Deep-sea creatures rarely see red light. In the ocean, red light is absorbed quickly by water. It fades within the first few meters, long before reaching the deep. As a result, most deep-sea creatures have lost the ability to see red. Their eyes are tuned to detect blue and green, the colors that penetrate deepest. But a few species have evolved the ability to produce and see red light. The dragonfish, for example, has red bioluminescent organs and red sensitive vision. This gives it a secret flashlight, invisible to most other creatures. It can illuminate prey without being detected, like a hunter with night vision goggles. This adaptation is rare, but powerful. In a world where most creatures are blind to red, being able to see it is like having a superpower. It's another example of evolution's creativity. And it shows that even in the deep, where vision is limited, there are still ways to gain an advantage. Chimeras are ancient fish with venomous spines. Chimeras, also called ghost sharks or ratfish, are strange cartilaginous fish related to sharks and rays. They have smooth, scaleless skin, large eyes, and long, whip-like tails. Many species have a venomous spine on their dorsal fin, used for defense. Chimeras live in deep waters, often between 200 and 2,000 meters down. They feed on mollusks, crustaceans, and small fish, using their beak-like teeth to crush shells. Despite their nickname, they're not true sharks. They belong to a separate lineage that split from sharks over 400 million years ago. Fossil records show that chimeras were once far more diverse and widespread. Today, only about 50 species remain, most of them poorly studied. They're elusive, slow-moving, and rarely encountered, but they're also fascinating, living relics from an ancient ocean. In the deep, they glide silently through the dark, unchanged by time. Some fish can change the shape of their eyes. In the deep, vision is precious, and some fish have evolved eyes that can adapt to different light conditions. Certain species can change the shape of their lenses or the curvature of their eyeballs, allowing them to focus on objects at varying distances or light levels. This flexibility is rare, but valuable. It allows the fish to hunt, navigate, and respond to faint flickers of bioluminescence. Other fish have tubular eyes that point upward, scanning the water above for prey. Some can even rotate their eyes forward when needed, shifting their field of view. These adaptations show just how important vision is in the deep. Even in near total darkness, the ability to see, even faintly, can mean the difference between eating and starving. And evolution, as always, finds a way. Deep-sea fish often have soft, watery flesh. Many deep-sea fish have bodies that feel soft, almost gelatinous, when touched. Their flesh is watery, their bones flexible, and their muscles weak. This isn't a flaw, it's an adaptation. In the deep, where food is scarce, building and maintaining dense muscle tissue is energetically expensive. Instead, these fish rely on neutral buoyancy and slow, efficient movements. Their watery flesh also helps them withstand pressure. With less rigid structure, there's less to compress or damage. And because they don't need to swim fast, they don't need strong muscles, they drift, hover, and wait. It's a low-energy lifestyle, perfectly suited to a low-energy environment. When brought to the surface, these fish often appear limp and unimpressive. But in their world, they're perfectly designed. Some octopuses live deeper than any other cephalopod. Octopuses are typically associated with rocky reefs and shallow waters, but some species have adapted to life in the deep. The Dumbo octopus, as mentioned earlier, holds the record for the deepest living octopus, found at depths exceeding 7,000 meters. But there are others. The seven-arm octopus, despite its name, actually has 8 arms. One is modified and hidden, used only during mating. It lives at depths of up to 1,000 meters and can grow quite large. Deep-sea octopuses face unique challenges. Pressure is immense, food is scarce, and there are few places to hide. But they've adapted with soft bodies, slow metabolisms, and patient hunting strategies. They drift along the seafloor, feeding on small crustaceans and mollusks. And like their shallow water cousins, they're intelligent, curious, and remarkably adaptable. The deep may be harsh, but for these octopuses, it's home. Certain shrimp can snap their claws to create light. Pistol shrimp, also called snapping shrimp, are small crustaceans with an unusual ability. One of their claws is greatly enlarged, and when they snap it shut, they create a cavitation bubble, a tiny pocket of vapor that collapses almost instantly. This collapse produces a loud popping sound, a shock wave, and a brief flash of light. The light lasts only a fraction of a second, but it's there, a phenomenon called sonoluminescence. The shockwave can stun or kill small prey, making the pistol shrimp a surprisingly effective predator. Some species live in the deep sea, others in shallow reefs, but wherever they are, they're noisy. In fact, large populations of pistol shrimp can create enough noise to interfere with sonar. It's a reminder that the ocean is full of sound, much of it made by creatures we rarely think about. Comb jellies propel themselves with rows of shimmering cilia. Comb jellies, or sea ctenophores, are among the most beautiful creatures in the ocean. They're transparent, delicate, and shaped like bells, ribbons, or lobes. What makes them especially striking are the rows of cilia, tiny hair-like structures that line their bodies. These cilia beat in coordinated waves, propelling the comb jelly through the water. When light hits them, They refract into rainbows, creating shimmering waves of color. Comb jellies aren't jellyfish, despite the name. They're a separate lineage, one of the oldest on Earth. They have no brains, no blood, and no centralized nervous system. But they're effective predators, using sticky tentacles or lobes to capture plankton and small fish. Some species are bioluminescent, glowing softly when disturbed. They drift through the deep, pulsing, gently trailing light and color. In the darkness, they're like living stained glass. The ocean floor is covered in a thick layer of sediment. Over millions of years, particles have rained down onto the ocean floor. Tiny fragments of rock, dust, shells, and organic matter. This slow accumulation has created a thick blanket of sediment that covers much of the sea floor. In some places, this layer is several kilometers deep. It's a record of Earth's history, each layer representing a different era. By drilling cores into the sediment, scientists can study past climates, volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, and ocean chemistry. Fossils embedded in the sediment tell stories of ancient life. Chemical signatures reveal atmospheric conditions, and the deeper you drill, the older the story becomes. This sediment is also home to countless organisms, worms, microbes, and small crustaceans that burrow and feed within it. The ocean floor isn't barren. It's alive, layered, and full of history. Some microbes can survive millions of years buried in mud. Deep within the ocean floor, beneath meters of sediment, scientists have discovered microbes that are incredibly old. Some may have been buried for millions of years, lying dormant in the cold, oxygen-poor mud. When brought to the surface and given nutrients, they wake up. They begin to grow, divide, and function as if no time has passed. These microbes survive by slowing their metabolism to an almost undetectable rate. They don't reproduce. They barely move. They simply endure, waiting for conditions to change. Their existence challenges our understanding of life and time. How long can an organism remain dormant and still be considered alive? What are the limits of survival? In the deep sediment of the ocean floor, these questions are still being explored, and the answers may hold clues to life on other planets, where dormancy might be the key to long-term survival. Methane seeps create ecosystems fueled by gas. In certain parts of the ocean floor, methane gas seeps up from beneath the sediment. This methane, a byproduct of decaying organic matter or deep geological processes, becomes the foundation for unique ecosystems. Microbes feed on the methane, converting it into energy through chemosynthesis. These microbes, in turn, support larger organisms, mussels, clams, tubeworms, and crustaceans. These cold seep communities are similar to hydrothermal vent ecosystems, but instead of heat, they're fueled by methane and hydrogen sulfide. The creatures here are specially adapted to thrive in these conditions. They live in symbiosis with bacteria, forming partnerships that allow both to survive. Methane seeps are found in many oceans, from shallow continental shelves to deep abyssal plains, and like hydrothermal vents, they show that life doesn't need sunlight, it just needs energy, wherever it can be found. Entire ecosystems can exist around a single whale carcass. When a whale dies and sinks to the ocean floor, it becomes a whale fall. A sudden, massive influx of nutrients in an otherwise barren environment. For creatures in the deep, a whale fall is like winning the lottery. Scavengers arrive first, sharks, hagfish, and sleeper sharks, stripping away the soft tissue. Then crustaceans, worms, and mollusks move in to feed on the remaining flesh. After months or years, the skeleton becomes home to a third wave of life: bone-eating worms, bacteria, and chemosynthetic organisms that extract nutrients from the bones themselves. A single whale fall can support life for decades, creating a temporary oasis in the deep. Some species are found only at whale falls, entirely dependent on these rare events. The discovery of whale fall ecosystems reshaped our understanding of deep-sea ecology, showing that even death can sustain life. Bone-eating worms don't have mouths or stomachs. Among the strangest inhabitants of whale falls are bone-eating worms, also called zombie worms or osedacs. These worms have no mouth, no digestive tract, and no obvious way to eat. Instead, they drill into the bones of dead whales using acid secreted from specialized roots. Inside the bone, they absorb fats and proteins with the help of symbiotic bacteria living in their tissues. The bacteria break down the nutrients, and the worms absorb them directly. Female osedacs are larger and do all the drilling. Males are microscopic and live inside the female's tubes, existing only to reproduce. It's a strange, efficient partnership, and it shows how life in the deep has evolved to exploit every possible resource, even the bones of the dead. The deep sea is a living museum of ancient life. Many creatures in the deep sea look like they belong to another time, and in some ways, they do. Species like the coelacanth, the frilled shark, the nautilus, and the horseshoe crab have survived almost unchanged for hundreds of millions of years. They're called living fossils, organisms whose body plans have remained stable while the world around them transformed. In the deep, where conditions are stable and change is slow, there's less pressure to evolve rapidly. These creatures aren't stuck in the past, they're simply well adapted. And as long as their environment remains constant, they have no reason to change. The deep sea is a refuge for ancient lineages, a place where evolution moves at its own pace, and in that stillness, the past lives on. Coelacanths were thought extinct until one was caught in 1938. The coelacanth is one of the most famous examples of a living fossil. For decades, scientists believed it had gone extinct with the dinosaurs over 65 million years ago. But in 1938, a live coelacanth was caught off the coast of South Africa. It was a discovery that stunned the scientific world. Since then, 2 species have been identified, and they've been studied extensively. Coelacanths live at depths between 100 and 700 meters, in rocky caves and deep reefs. They have fleshy, lobed fins that move in an alternating pattern, similar to how 4-legged animals walk. This has led some scientists to believe they may be related to the ancestors of land vertebrates. Coelacanths are slow-moving, slow-growing, and give birth to live young. They're rare, elusive, and protected, and they remind us that the ocean still holds surprises. Nautiluses are the last survivors of an ancient group. Nautiluses are cephalopods, like squid and octopuses, but they belong to a much older lineage. Their ancestors thrived over 500 million years ago, long before fish evolved. Today, only a few species remain, living in the deep reefs of the Indo-Pacific. Nautiluses have hard, spiral shells divided into chambers. As they grow, they add new chambers, moving forward and sealing off the old ones. These chambers are filled with gas, allowing the nautilus to control its buoyancy. Nautiluses have simple eyes, multiple tentacles, and a slow, deliberate way of moving. They hunt at night, feeding on shrimp and small fish. During the day, they retreat to deeper water. They're living time capsules, creatures that have survived mass extinctions, ice ages, and continental drift. In the deep, they continue their ancient rhythms, unchanged and unbothered. Horseshoe crabs are older than the dinosaurs. Horseshoe crabs aren't actually crabs. They're more closely related to spiders and scorpions, and they've been around for over 450 million years, predating the dinosaurs by hundreds of millions of years. They've survived 5 mass extinctions, seen continents shift, and watched countless species rise and fall. Today, they're found in shallow coastal waters and deeper offshore habitats. Their bodies are covered by a hard, dome-shaped shell. Their blood is blue, filled with copper-based hemocyanin instead of iron-based hemoglobin. This blood has unique properties and is used in medical testing to detect bacterial contamination. Horseshoe crabs are living relics, creatures that have barely changed over eons. In a rapidly changing world, they're a reminder of resilience and endurance. Some deep-sea creatures have no eyes at all. In the deepest parts of the ocean, where no light ever reaches, eyes become useless. And so, some creatures have lost them entirely. Blind cavefish, certain shrimp, and deep-dwelling worms navigate their world using other senses: touch, chemical detection, and vibration. Without the burden of maintaining complex eyes, these creatures can allocate energy elsewhere. Some have elongated antennae or sensory hairs that detect the slightest movement in the water. Others rely on bioluminescence from other creatures to sense their surroundings indirectly. Blindness in the deep isn't a disadvantage, it's an adaptation. In a world without light, vision offers no benefit. And evolution, ever efficient, removes what isn't needed. Others rely on electroreception to sense prey. Some deep-sea creatures, especially sharks and rays, have evolved the ability to detect electric fields. All living things produce weak electrical signals from muscle contractions and nerve activity, and certain predators can sense these signals using specialized organs called ampullae of Lorenzini. These jelly-filled pores are incredibly sensitive, capable of detecting even the faintest electrical impulses. This allows the predator to find prey buried in sediment, hiding in the dark, or even holding perfectly still. Electroreception is especially useful in the deep, where visibility is limited and other senses may fail. It's like having a sixth sense, one tuned to the invisible. And for creatures that hunt in total darkness, it's an invaluable tool. The deep ocean may hold the cure to human diseases. Scientists studying deep-sea organisms have discovered compounds with remarkable properties. Some bacteria from hydrothermal vents produce enzymes that can withstand extreme heat, useful in industrial processes and medical research. Certain sponges and corals produce chemicals with anti-cancer, anti-inflammatory, or antibiotic effects. These compounds are being studied for potential use in medicine. The deep sea is a treasure trove of biodiversity, and much of it remains unexplored. Every new species discovered could hold the key to new treatments, materials, or technologies. The creatures of the deep have evolved unique solutions to extreme environments, and those solutions may help us solve problems we face on land. In protecting the deep sea, we're not just preserving ecosystems. We're safeguarding potential cures, innovations, and discoveries we haven't yet imagined. Deep-sea corals grow only millimeters per year. Unlike their tropical cousins, deep-sea corals don't rely on sunlight. They grow in cold, dark waters, feeding on drifting particles. And they grow slowly, sometimes only a few millimeters per year. This means that a coral reef the size of a car could be hundreds or even thousands of years old. These reefs provide habitat for countless species, shelter, feeding grounds, and nurseries, but their slow growth also makes them incredibly vulnerable. If damaged by trawling, pollution, or climate change, They may take centuries to recover, if they recover at all. Scientists are only beginning to map and study these reefs, and what they're finding is astonishing. Vast, ancient structures, hidden in the deep, supporting ecosystems we barely understand. Protecting them is essential, because once they're gone, they may never come back. Some of these reefs have never been touched by human hands. In the most remote parts of the deep ocean, there are coral reefs that have never been seen, never been mapped, and never been disturbed. They exist in total isolation, shaped only by currents, time, and the creatures that live among them. These pristine ecosystems are incredibly rare. Most of the ocean has been touched in some way by human activity, through fishing, shipping, or pollution. But a few places remain untouched, and they offer scientists a glimpse of what the ocean was like before humans arrived. Studying these reefs helps us understand natural baselines, how ecosystems function without interference, and it reminds us of the value of preservation. Some places are worth protecting not because of what they can give us, but simply because they exist. Deep-sea mining could destroy ecosystems we've never even seen. As demand for metals like cobalt, nickel, and rare earth elements increases, companies are looking to the deep sea as a new source. The ocean floor is covered with polymetallic nodules, rocks rich in valuable minerals, but harvesting them would require large machines that scrape or vacuum the seafloor, stirring up sediment and destroying habitats. Many of the creatures that live in these areas are slow-growing, long-lived, and poorly understood. Damaging their habitats could lead to extinctions before we even know the species exist. Scientists and conservationists are calling for caution, urging governments to study the impacts before allowing mining to begin. The deep sea is not empty. It's full of life, and once it's damaged, it may take centuries or longer to recover. The choice we make now will determine the future of one of Earth's last wild frontiers. The deep sea is Earth's largest habitat. When we think of habitats, we often picture forests, deserts, or coral reefs. But the largest habitat on Earth is the deep ocean. It covers more than half the planet's surface and contains over 90% of the biosphere's volume. It's vast, three-dimensional, and mostly unexplored. The deep sea is not a single environment. It's many. Trenches, vents, plains, ridges, and seamounts, each with its own communities, conditions, and mysteries. And yet, we've explored less than 5% of it. Most of what we know comes from a few hundred dives, scattered samples, and sonar maps. The deep sea is still largely unknown, and that makes it both exciting and fragile. We're only beginning to understand how it works, and we're already facing decisions about how to protect it. We've barely scratched the surface of deep-sea exploration. Despite decades of research, the deep ocean remains one of the least understood places on Earth. We've sent more people to space than to the deepest trenches. We've mapped more of Mars than our own seafloor. And every time we explore, we find something new. New species, new ecosystems, new geological features. The deep sea doesn't reveal itself easily. It's dark, remote, and inhospitable, but it's also endlessly fascinating. And as technology improves, we're able to go deeper, stay longer, and see more. Each expedition adds to our understanding. Each discovery raises new questions. The deep sea is a frontier, and we've only just begun to explore it. Some scientists believe there are millions of undiscovered species. Estimates vary, but many marine biologists believe that the deep sea may be home to millions of species we've never seen. Most of them are small, invertebrates, microbes, and creatures that live in sediment or on the seafloor. But some may be large, elusive, and living in places we haven't yet reached. Every year, new species are discovered, and every year, the estimate of total biodiversity grows. The deep sea is a reservoir of life, hidden and vast, and the more we explore, the more we realize how much we don't know. These undiscovered species aren't just curiosities, they're part of ecosystems, part of the planet's biological heritage, and they may hold answers to questions we haven't yet thought to ask. The deep ocean connects all life on Earth. The deep sea may seem distant and separate, but it's deeply connected to the rest of the planet. Currents carry nutrients from the deep to the surface, feeding plankton and fish. Whales and seabirds dive into the twilight zone, linking surface and deep. Carbon from the atmosphere sinks into the abyss, where it's stored for centuries. And the creatures of the deep play vital roles in global nutrient cycles. The ocean is one system, interconnected and interdependent. What happens in the deep affects the surface, and what happens at the surface affects the deep. Protecting the ocean means protecting all of it, from the waves we see to the trenches we've barely explored. The deep sea isn't separate from us. It's part of the same living planet, and its health is our health. The more we learn, the more we realize how much remains hidden. With every deep sea expedition, with every new species cataloged, with every dive into the abyss, the same truth emerges. We've only begun to understand. The ocean is vast, layered, and complex, and the deep sea, that dark realm beneath the waves, holds more mysteries than we can count. There are canyons we've never mapped, creatures we've never filmed, ecosystems we've never studied, and sounds, lights, and phenomena we can't yet explain. The deep doesn't give up its secrets easily, but that's part of its allure. It challenges us, humbles us, and reminds us that even here on Earth, there are still unknowns, still frontiers, still wonders waiting in the dark. And so, let your thoughts drift now. Let them settle, like sediment falling through dark water, slowly, gently, sinking into stillness. We've journeyed together through the deepest parts of the ocean, through zones of eternal night, crushing pressure, and strange, glowing life. We've seen creatures that light up the dark, fish that walk on fins, and ecosystems that thrive without the sun. We've explored trenches deeper than mountains are tall. We've listened to sounds we can't explain, and we've glimpsed a world that exists beyond the reach of light, where life is quiet, patient, and endlessly creative. The deep ocean is not a void. It's full of life, full of mystery, full of stories still being written in the cold and the dark. It's a place where time slows, where ancient creatures drift through waters unchanged for millions of years, where new species are discovered with every dive, and where the unknown still outnumbers the known. And perhaps that's the most comforting thought of all, that even now, even with all our technology and knowledge, the world still holds places we've never seen, depths we've never reached, mysteries we've never solved. The deep ocean reminds us that there's always more to learn, always more to discover, always more to wonder about. So rest now. Let the weight of the deep settle over you, not crushing, but comforting. Let the silence wrap around you like dark water. Let your mind drift, weightless, into sleep. And if you're still awake, you can go ahead and watch the next video. Otherwise, close your eyes Let the ocean carry you, and know that tomorrow the mysteries will still be there, waiting in the deep. Good night. The ocean has layers we've only begun to name. When we divide the ocean into zones, we're trying to make sense of something vast and continuous. The sunlight zone, or epipelagic, reaches down to about 200 meters. Below that, the twilight zone, or mesopelagic, stretches to 1,000 meters. Then comes the midnight zone, the bathypelagic, extending to 4,000 meters. Deeper still lies the abyssal zone, from 4,000 to 6,000 meters. And finally, the hodl zone, found only in the deepest trenches, plunging beyond 6,000 meters. Each zone has its own characteristics, its own temperature, pressure, and light levels, and each supports different communities of life. But these boundaries aren't walls, they're gradients. Life doesn't stop at 1,000 meters and start again at 1,001. It flows, adapts, and spreads across depths. The zones are human constructs, helpful for understanding, but the ocean itself knows no such divisions. It's one continuous realm, layered and complex. Pressure in the deep can reach over 16,000 pounds per square inch. To understand the pressure in the deepest parts of the ocean, imagine stacking 50 jumbo jets on top of your thumb. That's approximately the force experienced at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, over 1,000 times the pressure we feel at sea level. This crushing weight affects everything: the structure of proteins, the behavior of gases, even the way sound travels. For humans, this pressure is lethal. Our bodies, filled with air, spaces, and soft tissues, would be compressed instantly. But for creatures born in the deep, this pressure is normal. Their bodies are built to withstand it. They have no air-filled swim bladders, no hollow bones, no spaces that could collapse. Some even have special proteins that remain stable under extreme pressure. These adaptations allow life to exist where, by all logic, it shouldn't. The deep sea doesn't compromise, and neither does the life that inhabits it. Cold seeps can last for thousands of years. Unlike hydrothermal vents, which are powered by volcanic heat and can shut down when the heat stops, cold seeps are fed by a slow, steady release of methane and other hydrocarbons from beneath the sea floor. This means they can remain active for millennia, supporting stable, long-lived ecosystems. Some cold seeps have been continuously active for over 10,000 years. The communities that form around them are dense and diverse, with mussels, clams, tube worms, and bacteria forming thick mats and clusters. These ecosystems don't depend on sunlight or surface productivity. They're entirely self-sufficient, running on chemistry alone. And because they're so stable, they provide scientists with a unique opportunity to study how ecosystems develop and persist over geological timescales. Cold seeps remind us that the deep isn't just a harsh environment, it's also a place of continuity, where life can settle, endure, and thrive for thousands of years without interruption. Some deep-sea fish migrate vertically over 1 kilometer every day. The daily vertical migration isn't just a behavior, it's a survival strategy that spans entire ecosystems. Every evening, as the sun sets and the surface darkens, millions of fish, squid, and crustaceans begin their ascent. They rise from the mesopelagic zone, sometimes traveling over 1 kilometer upward, to feed in the nutrient-rich surface waters. They do this under cover of darkness to avoid predators. Then, before dawn, they descend again, retreating to the safety of the deep. This migration is synchronized, happening every single night in oceans around the world. It's driven by light, temperature, and predation pressure. and it plays a crucial role in the ocean's carbon cycle. As these creatures feed at the surface and then descend, they carry carbon with them, transporting it from the atmosphere into the deep ocean, where it can be stored for centuries. This biological pump is one of the ocean's most important climate-regulating mechanisms, and it happens silently, invisibly, every single night. Seamounts are underwater mountains that rise from the ocean floor. Scattered across the deep ocean are thousands of seamounts, isolated peaks that rise sharply from the abyssal plains. Some reach within a few hundred meters of the surface, others remain entirely submerged, hidden beneath miles of water. Seamounts are often volcanic in origin, formed by hotspots or tectonic activity, and they create unique habitats. As currents hit the slopes of a seamount, they're forced upward, bringing nutrients from the deep. This upwelling supports dense communities of life: corals, sponges, fish, and invertebrates. Seamounts act like oases in the deep sea, attracting species from miles around. But they're also vulnerable. Because they're isolated and slow to recover from disturbance, damage to a seamount ecosystem can be devastating and long-lasting. Many seamounts have been heavily trawled for fish, destroying coral forests that took thousands of years to grow. Protecting seamounts is essential for preserving deep-sea biodiversity, and yet, most seamounts remain unmapped and unstudied. Some seamounts may hold entirely unique species. Because seamounts are isolated, like islands in the deep, they can become centers of endemism, places where species evolve in isolation and are found nowhere else. A fish species living on one seamount may be genetically distinct from its relatives on a seamount hundreds of kilometers away. Over time, these populations diverge, adapting to local conditions and forming new species. Scientists estimate that many seamounts harbor species found nowhere else on Earth, but we've only studied a fraction of them. Most seamounts are deep, remote, and difficult to access, and many have already been damaged by human activity before we had a chance to study them. Every seamount is a potential treasure trove of biodiversity, and every one we lose is a loss we can't undo. The ocean's Hadal Zone is named after Hades, the Greek underworld. The deepest parts of the ocean, those found only in trenches below 6,000 meters, are called the Hadal Zone. The name comes from Hades, the ancient Greek god of the underworld, a fitting reference for a place so dark, remote, and mysterious. The Hadal Zone is extreme in every way. Pressure exceeds 1,000 atmospheres. Temperatures hover near freezing, and food is incredibly scarce. Yet life exists even here. Amphipods, snailfish, sea cucumbers, and microbes have all been found in the Hadal Zone, living at depths once thought to be lifeless. These creatures are specially adapted, with flexible bodies, unique enzymes, and slow metabolisms. They survive by scavenging, feeding on whatever drifts down from above. The Hadal Zone is one of the least explored environments on Earth. Only a handful of submersibles can reach it, and every expedition reveals something new, something unexpected. The underworld of the ocean is real, and it's alive. Snailfish hold the record for the deepest living fish. In 2017, scientists captured footage of a snailfish swimming at a depth of over 8,000 meters in the Mariana Trench. It's the deepest fish ever recorded. Snailfish are small, translucent, and remarkably fragile looking, but they're also incredibly tough. Their bodies are adapted to survive crushing pressure with flexible bones, gelatinous flesh, and specialized proteins that keep their cells functioning. They feed on small crustaceans and amphipods, drifting slowly along the seafloor. Despite their delicate appearance, they're apex predators in the Hadal Zone. Nothing else lives deeper. and that makes them the ultimate deep-sea survivors. How they evolved to thrive at such depths is still a mystery, but their existence proves that life can adapt to almost anything, even the most extreme conditions on Earth. Some creatures in the Hadal Zone have never been seen alive. Most of what we know about Hadal Zone creatures comes from specimens collected in traps or nets. These animals are brought to the surface, where the sudden change in pressure often kills them. As a result, we've never seen many of them alive in their natural habitat. We have bodies, specimens preserved in jars, but we don't know how they move, how they hunt, or how they interact with their environment. Recent advances in deep-sea camera technology are changing this. Landers equipped with cameras and bait are being deployed to the deepest trenches, capturing footage of amphipods, fish, and other creatures in their natural state. What we're learning is astonishing. These creatures aren't sluggish or inactive. They're fast, aggressive, and remarkably well adapted. The Hadal Zone is far from lifeless. It's busy, dynamic, and full of behaviors we're only beginning to understand. The ocean floor is littered with shipwrecks and lost cargo. Over centuries of maritime history, thousands of ships have sunk to the ocean floor. Some lie in shallow waters, accessible to divers and well documented. Others rest in the deep, thousands of meters down, untouched and unseen. These wrecks become artificial reefs, attracting fish, corals, and invertebrates. Over time, they're colonized, encrusted with life, and slowly incorporated into the ecosystem. Some wrecks are historically significant, remnants of famous battles, trade routes, or expeditions. Others are mundane, cargo ships, fishing vessels, forgotten and abandoned. But all of them tell stories, and all of them remind us of the ocean's power. The deep preserves what it takes. In the cold, dark water, free from oxygen and light, wood and metal can last for centuries. The ocean floor is a museum filled with relics of human history, waiting to be discovered. Some deep-sea creatures can regenerate lost body parts. In the harsh environment of the deep sea, injury is common. Predators attack, currents batter, and food is scarce, leading to aggressive competition. But many deep-sea creatures have evolved the ability to regenerate lost limbs, tentacles, or fins. Sea stars can regrow entire arms. Some worms can regenerate segments of their bodies, and certain fish can repair damaged fins or even regrow parts of their tails. This ability to heal and regenerate is a powerful adaptation. It allows creatures to survive injuries that would be fatal elsewhere. And it shows that the deep sea, despite its harshness, is also a place of resilience. Life here doesn't just endure. It recovers, adapts, and continues. Deep-sea sponges can live for thousands of years. Among the oldest living organisms on Earth are deep-sea sponges. Some species, particularly glass sponges, can live for over 10,000 years. They grow slowly, just a few millimeters per decade, filtering tiny particles of food from the water. Their bodies are made of silica, creating delicate, glass-like skeletons that are both beautiful and incredibly old. These sponges are living archives, recording centuries of ocean history in their growth rings. Scientists can study their skeletons to learn about past ocean temperatures, chemistry, and nutrient levels. And because they're so old, they provide a window into the deep sea's past, showing how ecosystems have changed over millennia. But they're also incredibly vulnerable. A single trawl net can destroy sponges that have lived for thousands of years. Once gone, they can't be replaced. Protecting these ancient organisms is essential for preserving both biodiversity and our ability to study the ocean's history. The deep ocean is a repository of Earth's carbon. The ocean absorbs about a quarter of the carbon dioxide emitted into the atmosphere each year. Much of this carbon ends up in the deep sea. As organisms at the surface photosynthesize, they absorb CO2. When they die, their bodies sink, carrying carbon with them. Over time, this carbon is buried in sediments or dissolved in deep water, where it can remain for hundreds or thousands of years. This process, known as the biological carbon pump, is one of the ocean's most important functions. It helps regulate Earth's climate, slowing the pace of atmospheric warming, but it's also vulnerable. Changes in ocean temperature, acidity, or circulation could disrupt the carbon pump, reducing its efficiency. If that happens, more carbon would remain in the atmosphere, accelerating climate change. The deep sea isn't just a distant curiosity. It's a vital part of the planet's climate system, and its health affects us all. Ocean acidification is changing the chemistry of the deep. As the ocean absorbs more CO2, it becomes more acidic. This process, called ocean acidification, is happening at the surface, but it's also reaching the deep. Acidic water sinks, carried by currents into the twilight and midnight zones. Over time, this changes the chemistry of the deep ocean, affecting creatures that rely on calcium carbonate to build shells or skeletons. Corals, mollusks, and certain plankton are particularly vulnerable. If the water becomes too acidic, they can't build or maintain their structures. This could have cascading effects on deep-sea ecosystems, disrupting food webs and altering habitats. Scientists are studying these changes, trying to understand how quickly they're happening and what the long-term impacts will be. The deep sea may seem stable and unchanging, but it's not immune to the shifts happening at the surface, and the changes we're causing today will echo through the deep for generations to come. Some deep-sea species are incredibly slow-growing. In the deep sea, where food is scarce and temperatures are cold, growth is slow. Some fish take decades to reach maturity. Some corals add only a few millimeters per year, and some invertebrates may not reproduce until they're over a century old. This slow growth makes deep-sea species particularly vulnerable to overfishing and habitat destruction. If a population is depleted, it can take decades or centuries to recover, and if the habitat is damaged, it may never fully heal. This is why sustainable management of deep-sea resources is so critical. We can't treat the deep sea like shallow waters, where fish grow quickly and populations bounce back. The deep operates on a different timescale, and our actions need to account for that. Some fish in the deep glow only when touched. Bioluminescence in the deep sea isn't always constant. Some creatures only produce light when they're disturbed, touched, or threatened. This is called mechanically stimulated bioluminescence. When a predator bumps into a glowing organism, the sudden flash of light can startle or confuse the attacker, giving the prey a chance to escape. Or, in some cases, the flash attracts an even larger predator, one that might attack the original threat. It's a clever defense, using light as both a warning and a distraction. This type of bioluminescence is common in jellyfish, plankton, and some deep-sea squid, and it creates moments of sudden, surprising brilliance in the otherwise dark ocean. A flash, a flicker, then darkness again. Deep-sea jellyfish can pulse for hours without stopping. Jellyfish are among the most efficient swimmers in the ocean. Their pulsing motion, a simple contraction and relaxation of their bell, uses very little energy. In the deep sea, where food is scarce, this efficiency is essential. Some jellyfish can pulse continuously for hours, drifting through the water in search of prey. They don't tire, they don't stop, they simply move, rhythmically and endlessly. This pulsing also helps them stay suspended in the water column, preventing them from sinking, and it creates currents that draw in small prey, plankton, or fish larvae. Jellyfish are often dismissed as simple creatures, but they are remarkably well adapted. In the deep, where complexity isn't always an advantage, simplicity can be the key to survival. Some deep-sea octopuses brood their eggs for over 4 years. In 2014, scientists observed a deep-sea octopus sitting on a rocky outcrop, guarding her eggs. When they returned years later, she was still there. In total, she brooded her eggs for over 4.5 years, the longest egg brooding period ever recorded for any animal. During this time, she didn't eat, she didn't move, she simply stayed, protecting her eggs from predators and keeping them clean. By the end, she was pale, thin, and weak, but her eggs hatched, and she had succeeded. This level of parental investment is extraordinary. It shows the lengths to which deep-sea creatures will go to ensure the survival of the next generation. In a world where food is rare and reproduction is difficult, every egg matters, and this mother gave everything to ensure hers survived. The deep sea is a place of extremes, but also of stability. While the surface ocean experiences storms, temperature swings, and seasonal changes, the deep sea is remarkably stable. Temperatures remain constant, pressure is unchanging, and light, or the lack of it, never varies. This stability has allowed life to evolve in highly specialized ways. Creatures here don't need to adapt to rapid changes. They can fine-tune their biology to a narrow set of conditions. But this also makes them vulnerable. If those conditions change, even slightly, they may not be able to adapt. The deep sea stability is both a strength and a fragility. It's a place where life has thrived for millions of years. But it's also a place that could be easily disrupted by changes we're only beginning to understand. Some deep-sea creatures have blood that doesn't freeze. In the coldest parts of the deep ocean, near the poles, temperatures can drop below the freezing point of normal seawater. To survive, some fish have evolved antifreeze proteins in their blood and tissues. These proteins bind to ice crystals, preventing them from growing and damaging cells. It's a remarkable adaptation, one that allows life to exist in waters cold enough to freeze most other organisms. Scientists have studied these proteins extensively, hoping to apply the same principles to human medicine, agriculture, and food preservation. The deep sea doesn't just fascinate us, it teaches us, and the solutions it offers, evolved over millions of years, may help us solve problems in our own world. The ocean's oxygen minimum zones are expanding. In certain parts of the ocean, between about 200 and 1,000 meters deep, oxygen levels are extremely low. These oxygen minimum zones, or OMZs, have always existed, but they're expanding. Warmer surface waters hold less oxygen, and as the ocean warms, less oxygen is mixed into the deep. This expansion of OMZs could have serious consequences for marine life. Fish, squid, and other creatures that rely on oxygen may be forced to move, altering migration patterns and disrupting ecosystems. And in some areas, OMZs are moving into shallower waters, affecting fisheries and coastal communities. The deep sea is changing, and the changes are connected to what's happening at the surface. Our actions, our emissions, our impact on the climate, all of it reaches into the deep. Strange creatures sometimes wash ashore, puzzling scientists. A Occasionally, something unusual washes up on a beach: a giant squid, an oarfish, a deep-sea anglerfish. These strandings offer rare opportunities to study creatures that are almost impossible to observe in their natural habitat. Scientists rush to collect samples, take measurements, and preserve tissues for study, but they also raise questions. Why did the animal come to the surface? Was it sick, disoriented, driven by changing ocean conditions? Often, we don't know. These strandings are mysteries, glimpses of the deep that arrive without explanation, and they remind us that the ocean still holds creatures we've barely begun to understand. Oarfish are long, ribbon-like fish that live in the twilight zone. Oarfish are among the longest bony fish in the ocean, reaching lengths of over 10 meters. They're slender, silver, and serpentine, with a bright red dorsal fin that runs the length of their body. They live in the mesopelagic zone, drifting vertically through the water, feeding on plankton and small fish. Oarfish are rarely seen alive. Most encounters come from strandings or accidental catches, and because of their unusual appearance, they've inspired myths and legends. Some believe they're the source of sea serpent stories. When an oarfish washes ashore, it looks otherworldly, strange, and out of place. But in the deep, it's perfectly adapted, a ribbon of silver drifting through the dark. The deep ocean produces sounds we can barely detect. The ocean is full of sound. Whales sing, dolphins click, snapping shrimp pop. But some of the most interesting sounds come from the deep. Low-frequency rumbles, strange pulses, echoes that don't match any known source. These sounds are often at the edge of human hearing, or below it. They can travel for thousands of kilometers, carried by the ocean's unique acoustic properties. Some may come from geological activity, others from large, unknown animals, and some may simply be artifacts of the ocean itself. The sound of water moving, currents shifting, or ice cracking. Listening to the deep is like listening to a foreign language. We catch fragments, hints, suggestions, but we don't yet understand the full conversation. Brine pools on the seafloor can be deadly to most marine life. In certain parts of the ocean floor, dense, salty water collects in depressions, forming pools that don't mix with the surrounding seawater. These brine pools are toxic to most marine life. The high salinity, combined with low oxygen and high concentrations of methane or hydrogen sulfide, creates an environment that's lethal to fish, crustaceans, and most other organisms. If a fish swims into a brine pool, it often dies within minutes. But the edges of these pools can support life. Mussels and bacteria form dense colonies, feeding on the chemicals seeping from the sediment. And scientists have even found specialized microbes living inside the brine itself, adapted to conditions that would kill almost anything else. Brine pools are strange, beautiful, and deadly. They're underwater lakes with their own shores, currents, and chemistry. And they're yet another reminder of how diverse and unexpected the deep ocean can be. Some brine pools have waves and currents just like surface water. The boundary between a brine pool and the surrounding seawater is remarkably sharp. You can see it, a shimmering interface where two different densities of water meet. And just like at the surface, this boundary can have waves. Currents flow along the edge of the pool, creating ripples and eddies. Submarines exploring these pools report the eerie sensation of flying over a separate ocean, one hidden inside the first. It's surreal, disorienting, and unlike anything else on Earth. These pools are small, isolated, and fragile, but they're also windows into the ocean's complexity, showing us that water can behave in unexpected ways. Deep-sea creatures sometimes form symbiotic relationships. In the deep, cooperation can be as important as competition. Many creatures form partnerships with bacteria, hosting them in specialized organs in exchange for nutrients. Tube worms, clams, and some fish all rely on bacterial symbionts. But there are other types of symbiosis too. Some fish clean parasites off larger animals. Some shrimp live in burrows dug by other creatures, sharing space and protection. And some species form hunting partnerships, working together to find or capture prey. These relationships show that even in a harsh environment, life finds ways to cooperate. Survival isn't always about being the strongest or the fastest. Sometimes it's about finding the right partner. The deep sea may be our best hope for discovering extraterrestrial life. When scientists look for life beyond Earth, they often look to the deep ocean for clues. The conditions here, no sunlight, extreme pressure, chemical-based ecosystems, are similar to what we might find on other worlds. Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, is covered in ice, but beneath that ice may lie a vast ocean warmed by tidal forces and possibly teeming with life. Enceladus, a moon of Saturn, has geysers that shoot water into space, hinting at a subsurface ocean. If life exists in these places, it might resemble the creatures of Earth's deep sea, adapted to darkness, cold, and chemistry. Studying the deep ocean isn't just about understanding our own planet. It's about preparing for the possibility that life exists elsewhere, and that it might be stranger, tougher, and more resilient than we ever imagined. The deep ocean teaches us humility. Every expedition into the deep reminds us of how little we know. We've mapped the surface of the moon in more detail than our own ocean floor. We've cataloged more stars than deep-sea species. And every time we send a camera or a submersible into the abyss, we're surprised by what we find. The deep ocean is vast, complex, and full of life, and it doesn't reveal itself easily. It challenges us to be patient, curious, and humble, to accept that there are places we may never fully understand, and to recognize that mystery isn't a weakness, it's a gift. The deep ocean holds more than secrets. It holds wonder, so let your mind rest now, like a stone settling onto the ocean floor. We've traveled far tonight, through zones of light and shadow, through vents and trenches, through ecosystems that thrive in darkness. We've met creatures that glow, that walk, that sing in the deep. We've seen mountains hidden beneath waves and valleys carved by time. We've listened to sounds we can't explain and marveled at life that defies our expectations. The deep ocean is many things: a frontier, a mystery, a classroom, a reminder of how much we've yet to learn. It's a place where time slows, where ancient creatures drift through cold water, and where every dive reveals something new. It doesn't offer easy answers. It offers questions. And in those questions, we find wonder. Let that wonder settle over you now. Let it quiet your thoughts, slow your breathing, and carry you gently into rest. The deep ocean is patient. It's been there for millions of years, and it will be there tomorrow, waiting, still mysterious, still full of life, still calling to those curious enough to listen. So sleep now. Let the dark water hold you. Let the silence surround you. And know that in the deep, beneath the waves, beyond the light, the ocean keeps its secrets. Good night. Some deep-sea predators can unhinge their jaws like snakes. In the deep sea, prey is rare. When it appears, predators can't afford to be picky about size. Many deep-sea fish have evolved the ability to unhinge or expand their jaws to extraordinary degrees, allowing them to swallow prey larger than their own heads. The gulper eel, the black swallower, and certain species of anglerfish can all open their mouths to shocking proportions. Their stomachs are equally stretchy, expanding to accommodate meals that might sustain them for weeks or months. This adaptation is essential in a world where the next meal is never guaranteed. When opportunity arrives, these predators strike. They swallow whole, and they wait, sometimes motionless, sometimes drifting, until hunger calls them to hunt again. The deep ocean is darker than the darkest night. On land, even the darkest night has some light. Stars, moon, distant city glow. But in the deep ocean, there is none. No sunlight penetrates. No moonlight filters through. The darkness is absolute, complete, and unbroken. It's a darkness so profound that human eyes, even fully adjusted, can see nothing at all. In this blackness, bioluminescence becomes the only light. And for creatures that produce or see it, that faint glow is enough. It's a reminder that darkness isn't the absence of life, it's just a different canvas. And on that canvas, life paints with light, creating patterns, signals, and displays that we're only beginning to understand. Deep-sea creatures can sense vibrations from far away. In the dark, vision is limited, but other senses become amplified. Many deep-sea creatures have highly developed lateral line systems, organs that detect vibrations and pressure changes in the water. A fish swimming nearby creates ripples. A struggling prey item sends out pulses, and a predator can sense these disturbances from meters away. This sense is so refined that some fish can detect the movement of a single plankton drifting past. It allows them to hunt, navigate, and avoid danger in total darkness. In the deep, survival depends on sensing what you can't see, and for creatures with finely tuned vibration detection, the ocean is full of signals. Some deep-sea fish have light organs on their tongues. The dragonfish is one of the ocean's most fearsome predators. It has long fangs, a hinged jaw, and a body covered in photophores. But one of its strangest features is a bioluminescent organ on its tongue. This glowing lure sits inside the fish's mouth, attracting small prey that swim close to investigate. When they do, the dragonfish strikes, snapping its jaws shut in an instant. It's an ambush tactic, quiet, efficient, and deadly. The dragonfish doesn't chase. It waits, mouth open, lure glowing. And when prey comes near, it simply closes. In the deep, patience and deception are just as valuable as speed. The ocean's deepest life may still be undiscovered. Despite decades of exploration, we've likely only scratched the surface of deep-sea biodiversity. Every new dive, every new sample, reveals species we've never seen before. Some scientists estimate that we've discovered less than 10% of all deep-sea life. The rest remains hidden, waiting in trenches, on seamounts, or in sediments we haven't yet sampled. These undiscovered species aren't just curiosities. They're part of functioning ecosystems. They play roles we don't yet understand, and they hold secrets about evolution, adaptation, and survival. The deep ocean is still a frontier, and the creatures living there are still largely unknown. Certain deep-sea worms glow bright green when disturbed. Among the most beautiful sights in the deep ocean are bioluminescent worms, particularly scale worms and certain polychaetes. When disturbed, These worms release glowing mucus or flash bright green light from specialized organs along their bodies. The glow can last for several seconds, creating a trail of light as the worm swims away. This bioluminescence serves as a defense, startling predators or attracting larger animals that might attack the threat. It's a distraction tactic, a flashbang in the dark, and it works. The worm escapes. The predator is confused, and in the blackness of the deep, that moment of confusion can mean survival. Deep-sea shrimp have eyes on stalks for better vision. Some deep-sea shrimp have evolved eyes that sit on long, movable stalks, allowing them to scan their surroundings without moving their bodies. This gives them a wider field of view and helps them detect faint flashes of bioluminescence. In the deep, where every flicker could signal food or danger, having flexible, mobile eyes is a significant advantage. These shrimp can look up, down, forward, and back, all while staying perfectly still. It's an efficient design, one that maximizes awareness while minimizing movement and energy expenditure. Some creatures in the deep sea are completely transparent. Transparency is a powerful form of camouflage in the deep ocean. If you have no pigment, no color, and no reflective surfaces, you become nearly invisible. Many deep-sea creatures, including certain jellyfish, squid, and fish larvae, have evolved transparent bodies. Light passes through them, making them almost impossible to see. The only visible parts are often their eyes or digestive systems, which can't be made transparent without losing function. But even these are minimized, tucked away, or covered with reflective layers. In the deep, where predators rely on bioluminescence to spot prey, transparency is one of the best defenses. If you can't be seen, you can't be caught. The deep ocean may hold clues to Earth's earliest life. When life first appeared on Earth, over 3.5 billion years ago, the planet was very different. The atmosphere had little oxygen. The sun's radiation was harsh, and the surface was inhospitable, but the deep ocean was stable. Protected from radiation, rich in chemicals, and warmed by hydrothermal vents, it may have been the perfect cradle for life. Many scientists believe that life didn't begin at the surface. It began in the deep, around vents, in the dark, fueled by chemistry. If that's true, then the deep ocean isn't just a strange environment. It's our origin. It's where life first learned to survive, adapt, and thrive. And studying it today may help us understand how life began, not just on Earth, but possibly on other worlds as well. Some deep-sea bacteria can survive radiation levels that would kill most life in the deep ocean, particularly around hydrothermal vents. Bacteria are exposed to high levels of radiation and toxic chemicals. To survive, they've evolved remarkable resistance mechanisms. Some can repair DNA damage almost instantly. Others have multiple copies of their genetic material, ensuring that even if one is damaged, backups remain. These bacteria are being studied for their potential applications in medicine, waste treatment, and even space exploration. If bacteria can survive the deep ocean's extremes, they might also survive on other planets, or help us clean up radiation on Earth. The deep sea doesn't just harbor life, it harbors solutions. The deep ocean is silent, except when it's not. For the most part, the deep ocean is quiet. There's no wind, no waves, no surface noise. But it's not completely silent. Whales call across vast distances. Shrimp snap their claws. Earthquakes rumble through the crust. And occasionally, unexplained sounds echo through the water. These sounds are captured by underwater microphones, analyzed and cataloged. Some are identified, Others remain mysteries. The deep ocean has a voice, and sometimes that voice speaks in ways we don't yet understand. Some deep-sea creatures have bioluminescent bacteria in their guts. Not all bioluminescent bacteria live on the outside of an organism. Some live inside. Certain deep-sea fish and squid have colonies of glowing bacteria in their digestive systems. When the organism excretes waste, it releases a glowing cloud that can confuse predators or attract prey. It's an unusual adaptation, one that uses bacteria as both symbiont and tool. These bacteria benefit from the nutrient-rich environment of the gut, and the host benefits from having a bioluminescent defense. It's yet another example of cooperation in the deep, where partnerships can mean the difference between survival and extinction. The deep ocean's food webs are incredibly complex. At first glance, the deep ocean might seem simple. Organic matter falls from above. Scavengers eat it. Predators eat scavengers. But the reality is far more complex. Deep-sea food webs are interconnected networks involving bacteria, archaea, plankton, fish, invertebrates, and even viruses. Energy flows in unexpected directions. Nutrients cycle through multiple organisms before being used, and species interact in ways we're still discovering. Some relationships are predatory, others are symbiotic, and many are somewhere in between. Understanding these food webs is essential for understanding how the deep ocean functions and how it might respond to changes, natural or human-caused. Viruses play a crucial role in deep-sea ecosystems. Viruses are often overlooked, but they're among the most abundant entities in the ocean. In the deep sea, viruses infect bacteria, archaea, and plankton, controlling populations and releasing nutrients when cells burst. This process, called the viral shunt, redirects energy back into the food web, making it available to other microbes. Viruses also drive evolution, transferring genes between organisms and accelerating adaptation. They're not just parasites, they're ecosystem engineers, shaping the structure and function of deep-sea communities. And they're incredibly diverse. Scientists estimate that most deep-sea viruses have never been identified or studied. They're a hidden component of the ocean, small but powerful. Some deep-sea organisms can enter a dormant state for years. When conditions are unfavorable, food is scarce, or the environment becomes too harsh, some deep-sea creatures can enter a state of dormancy. Their metabolism slows to a crawl. They stop moving, stop feeding, and wait. This state can last for months or even years. When conditions improve, they wake up, resume activity, and continue as if no time has passed. This ability to wait out hard times is a powerful survival strategy. In the deep, where resources are unpredictable, being able to pause life until things get better can mean the difference between extinction and persistence. The deep ocean is a reservoir of genetic diversity. Because the deep sea is so vast and varied, it hosts an incredible range of genetic diversity. Even within a single species, populations living in different regions or depths can be genetically distinct. This diversity is a resource, a biological library that holds solutions to problems we haven't yet encountered. Enzymes that work at extreme temperatures, proteins that resist pressure, genes that allow survival without oxygen. All of this diversity could have applications in medicine, industry, and biotechnology. But it's also fragile. If we damage deep-sea ecosystems before we understand them, we could lose genetic resources we didn't even know existed. Deep-sea creatures have evolved some of the most efficient metabolisms on Earth. In the deep, where food is scarce, efficiency is everything. Many deep-sea organisms have metabolisms that extract maximum energy from minimal food. They can survive on a single meal for weeks or months. They move slowly, conserving energy. And they grow slowly, spreading their energy expenditure over years or decades. This efficiency is a result of millions of years of evolution in a resource-limited environment. And it's a reminder that survival isn't always about strength or speed. Sometimes, it's about making the most of what you have. Some deep-sea creatures can detect the Earth's magnetic field. Navigation in the deep ocean is challenging. There are no landmarks, no visible stars, and no sunlight to orient by. But some creatures have evolved the ability to detect the Earth's magnetic field, using it to navigate across vast distances. Certain sharks, rays, and even some fish have specialized cells that sense magnetic fields. This magnetoreception allows them to migrate, hunt, and find their way in total darkness. It's a sixth sense, invisible to us but essential for them, and it shows that the deep ocean, despite its emptiness, is full of information, signals, and cues that life has learned to read. The deep ocean holds the remains of countless extinct species. Over millions of years, countless species have lived, evolved, and gone extinct in the deep ocean. Their remains, skeletons, shells, and traces are buried in sediment, forming a fossil record that's only beginning to be explored. These fossils tell stories of ancient ecosystems, of creatures that no longer exist, and of environments that have changed over time. By studying them, scientists can learn about the history of life in the deep, how it's responded to past climate changes, and how it might respond to future ones. The deep ocean is a museum, not just of the present, but of the past, and its fossils are waiting to tell their stories. Some deep-sea fish have teeth that are fused to their jaws. In the deep, where food is rare, losing a tooth could mean starvation. Some fish have evolved teeth that are fused directly to their jawbones, making them nearly impossible to lose. These teeth are permanent, strong, and designed to grip and hold. They can't be replaced if damaged, but they're so robust that damage is rare. This adaptation shows the trade-offs of deep-sea life: permanence over flexibility, strength over versatility. In the deep, what works, works, and evolution doesn't fix what isn't broken. The deep ocean is a place of contrasts. It's vast, yet intimate. It's dark, yet illuminated by living light. It's harsh, yet teeming with life. It's ancient, yet constantly changing. It's a frontier we've barely explored, yet it's been here, unchanged in many ways, for hundreds of millions of years. These contrasts make the deep ocean endlessly fascinating. It challenges our assumptions, surprises us, and reminds us that the world is more complex, more diverse, and more wonderful than we often realize. So let your thoughts drift now, like particles of marine snow falling through dark water. We've journeyed together through the deepest mysteries of the ocean, through zones of eternal night, through ecosystems built on chemistry, through trenches deeper than mountains are tall. We've met creatures that glow, that hunt, that endure. We've explored the unknown, the unexpected, and the utterly astonishing. The deep ocean is more than a place. It's a reminder that mystery still exists, that wonder is real, that the world holds secrets we've yet to discover, and that even in the darkest places, life finds a way. Let that knowledge settle over you like a blanket of calm. Let the deep ocean's patience become your own. Let its quiet strength guide you into rest. The mysteries will still be there tomorrow. The trenches will still plunge into darkness. The creatures will still glow and drift and endure. And we'll still have questions, still have wonders to explore, still have depths to descend into, but for now, rest. Let the ocean's rhythm slow your breathing. Let its vastness quiet your mind. Let the deep, dark water carry you gently into sleep. And know that beneath the waves, in places we've barely seen, the ocean keeps its mysteries safe. Good night.